Good evening, everybody. I am so happy to be here, and this is a fabulous way to start the new year on a fighting note. And I am so proud to support and stand by a dear friend and someone I really, really admire, a kindred spirit, Katrina Pierson. This is a race of national import. And you know that I'm all pretty much a neighbor of y'all, having escaped the DC swamp 5 years ago with my family. And some of you have heard this story that when we were narrowing where we were going to live, because I had liberated myself from the entire East Coast mentality, and we were looking at two places, either Colorado or Texas, and I know you think I chose wrong. And with all the pot smoke wafting around, I think you may be right. Yeah, it's not too late. Well, I think I could be a constituent of Katrina's for sure. I'd be proud of it. I have to say that my first experience and contact with Katrina was so memorable. It was 4 years ago, and this sassy woman was speaking truth to Hollywood power. Because at the time, Janeane Garofalo, an MSNBC host reject, how's that for your record, was dissing the Tea Party. And of course, all of these leftists, whether they're part of the Hollywood swamp or the media swamp, have been predicting the demise and death and writing the premature obituaries of the Tea Party movement since its birth. And you know that one of their most vicious tactics, and of course it's something that I've experienced as long as I've been involved in public life as an out-of-the-closet and proud conservative, has been employing and deploying and abusing the race card. And there is nothing that these people are more afraid of than a triple threat. Someone who is a conservative, someone who is a woman, and someone whose skin is browner than Barack Obama's. Right? And so here's Janeane Garofalo, who is so much a progressive of pallor that I need sunglasses to look at her. It's blinding, which is what you can pretty much say of most of the MSNBC lineup, deriding the Tea Party as racist. And those of you who know me know that I always put 100 A's in there because that's how they say it. Racist. And Katrina wouldn't take it. She was not going to take it. She stood up and she challenged Janeane Garofalo to come down here and see for herself. She invited Janeane to come and actually experience the Tea Party. And of course, you know, la la la, I can't hear you, I can't see you. Because these people would rather pretend that we don't exist. And they have the smug condescension to continue to live in this bubble of unreality and treat each and every one of you in this room as some sort of terrorist threat to America. No, literally, right? And ever since the Tea Party came into existence, and it has attracted more and more people from a wide array of backgrounds and classes, that this is one of the things that I love the most. And you know, Janeane didn't go to South Fork to the Dallas Tea Party, but I did. That's right. I hauled my brown backside, and I was proud to stand with you if you were there. It was one of the most fabulous events of the year and of the movement to see so many people who were proud and optimistic and happy and who have every day, counted their blessings to live in this country. That's what binds us all. Katrina and I come from very different backgrounds and very different regions, but we are bound, as the two of us are bound to all of you, to a commitment to spread the word, to spread the gospel, to spread real hope, not for transformative change, but for restoration of the things that made this country great. In my interactions with so many grassroots activists across this country, not only over the last 4 years, but over the 20+ years that I've been in public life, there is a common theme that we see played over and over and over again in these important election cycles. And that is, in many instances, it's not the out-and-out, flagrant progressives that are causing the worst problems for the conservative movement. In many cases, it's people on our own side who have become co-opted by this Beltway mentality. And as much of a threat as grassroots activists pose to the Hollywood left and the mainstream media, we're an even bigger threat to those establishment types who do more to deride us publicly than our own enemies on the left. Angry wacko birds, anyone? Proud to be one. Proud to be with you on that. And it is this war, it's this battle between the DC establishment, between statists who have R's by their name, who are every bit as big government as the people that they purport to oppose. And this is something that I think many of my colleagues, and I won't call them friends, people I've worked with in the mainstream media, as many of you know, I've worked for 2 major newspapers before I put on a new hat as in the new media and the conservative blogosphere. It's these battles between the establishment and the grassroots that are at the heart of fighting for conservatism. It is an old story. What's new and what's different, and why I think it is a better time than any time that I can remember in my own public life to be a grassroots conservative, to be for limited government, to stand for constitutional principles, is that we have the means more than ever to defeat the incumbency protection racket. Yeah. And warrior princesses like Katrina Pierson have been incredibly savvy at using these resources now of new media and of circumventing the power center in the DC establishment. I can tell you, just from my own experience of having almost been sucked into the DC vortex. There's been a lot of talk about the polar vortex lately, right? The DC New York vortex. That you have Republicans that you send and you give your money to, $1 billion sent to groups like Karl Rove's American Crossroads. How's that return on investment doing? And there's a level of trust and belief and hope that you send these people there and they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And then what happens? They never come home. They have a Texas address and they've got a Texas attitude and they sound like they're from Texas. You could say this for any state where you've got these Republican career politicians who really should put just DC RDC, okay, if we want truth in advertising. And it becomes more important for them to surrender, to capitulate, to pander on the core issues that matter to their constituents. Think of these public policy issues before us this year. What's coming down the pike? Another massive illegal alien amnesty that is supported by both big business and big government, that everybody who's paying attention and informed knows is just going to be a repeat of failed past history that enlarges Democratic voter rolls. And we're going to have Republicans hand that to the Democrat Party on a silver platter because they're so deluded into thinking that if they pander and become bigger progressives than the progressives in the Democratic Party, that somehow the beneficiaries of amnesty are going to vote for them. What world do these people live in? Oh, I know, Washington, D.C. And I will tell you from my own personal experience that it becomes more important for these people with R's by their name who were sent to Washington to limit government, to rub elbows in green rooms with people who don't have our best interests at heart, who don't have the country's best interest at heart, but oh, it means another cocktail invitation or TV appearance. Are you tired of that? And now it's open warfare. We're seeing it in the pages of the Wall Street Journal, right? The incumbency protection racket is going to draw on huge resources to stifle the voices of dissent within the conservative movement and the right. And this is what I mean about being very savvy at using alternative resources to defeat that power. Because we have had many, many proud cases, and you here in Texas did it with Ted Cruz. It can be done. It will be done. It must be done. And the reason why this race is of such national import is because it's the first one out of the gate. When's your election date? When's the primary date? March 4th. All eyes are going to be on your congressional district because we are seeing these players play out, the power players. And they're scared. Let me spell that Twitter style. S-K-E-E-R-D, scared. All it takes is a voice of clarity, a voice of principle. Who do you want to send to Washington? Somebody who's so comfortable and affable and such a sycophant of the Republican leadership that has been driving us in the wrong direction, that is driving the Republican Party into the Democrat Party's hands. Or somebody who's going to fight, somebody who's got that fighting spirit, somebody whose first instinct is to fight for liberty and to protect liberty, and who's not going to see her role as protecting power. It's about protecting you, the taxpayers. Whether it's amnesty or how the Republicans should deal with the Democrats on Benghazi. Where is that special select committee? Where is it? Where is the justice for the victims of Benghazi? And then there's Obamacare. And as many of you know, this issue is personal for me. This is my death notice. Obama lied, my health plan died. And I know that many of you are in the same boat. Millions of people who buy their insurance on the individual market, small business owners, the neglected, and yet the ones who are the engine that drives the American economy. Again, do you want to have somebody who represents you that is willing to trash the very people who have been trying to defund it? No. You want to send somebody there who's going to stand up and fight unapologetically. Politics, as Barack Obama has taught so many people, is so much about biography. And we talk about the Alinsky method and how good they are at telling stories and connecting with people and reaching out to non-traditional constituencies. And yet the lesson that these DC establishment types have learned is that somehow that these entrenched incumbents need to talk the language of the left, right? That somehow they think that they're going to win votes by co-opting the language of entitlement and the policies of dependency. What? You know my own biography. I've lived a life that is an open book of parents who came here as immigrants from the Philippines legally, with nothing. No crony connections, not a lot of money in their pockets, but the will to survive, gratitude about the opportunity to succeed, and accepting of the fact that there are no guarantees, that the opportunity itself is the gift. And what we need are people who are able to articulate both a positive message of hope, and yet, when confronted with the vicious forces of the left, are able to push back and fight back. And I know that Katrina and I have had very similar shared exasperation of the people that we see on TV that are supposed to represent the creme de la creme of the Republican Party with their tails tucked between their legs because they can't stand up to Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar or Katie Couric. Being a happy warrior means being two components. Having that gratitude for being an American and living in this country and understanding the blessings that were passed on to us by our forefathers, and yet having a steel spine when it comes to defending it. And Katrina has that. I am so proud of her. I am so grateful for each and every one of you for coming out in the cold and providing the heat and the light and the warmth and the support to buoy her, because you know what's going to happen. The people on the left are dirty. The incumbents in power on the right are dirtier. And she's going to need your backs, and I know she will have them. Like I said, there's nothing more threatening to the old progressive establishment and the old Republican establishment than someone who's got Katrina's passion and her gift and her charisma, but most importantly, her rock-solid commitment to limited government and free enterprise. Thank you, God bless you. I will be pulling for you and doing everything possible to help get her to Washington. Thank you so much.